Hey Bat fans, Luke here ready to Bat chat about the new Bat title that was recently released. I believe it was last week, and that is The Batman's Grave. This is issue number 1 of 12. And before you see the main cover on the left, and then you have the variant on the right. Talk about that in a second. Creative team on this title is Warren Ellis doing the writing, with Hitch doing the pencils, and then I think Nolan doing the inks, and Sinclair doing colors. And a couple quick words about the creative team. Warren Ellis, one of the well-known writers in the industry right now. Recently, you would recognize his work on the book. I'm sorry, Wildstorm, and also he did one of these short stories in Detective Comics issue 1000. And Brian Hitch, most recently, he was doing Hawkman, and before that, he was doing Justice League, if I remember correctly. Before that, he actually did Justice League of America. And uh, Ellis, I'm a little lukewarm on his writing, to be honest. Nothing I think terribly wrong with it. It's just something I just really couldn't like get into his stories. I'm not saying they're bad. Maybe they just weren't for me. I tried Wildstorm for a little bit, and it just didn't grasp me. Um, oh god, he did Injection 2, and I went along with that for a while, and then I kind of fell off that one too. So good writer, just typically for me. Um, it just didn't grasp me. I thought his story in Detective Comics 1000 was okay, but as a writer, again, nothing wrong with him, and I don't dislike him. I don't love him either, so we'll just put him right in the center. But again, um, hasn't really grasped or really hold of me of his storytelling so far. Brian Hitch, fantastic artist. Um, his run on Justice League of America was pretty decent, but he kind of hit a rut with Justice League in the beginning of Rebirth, where he was doing writing and art for a little bit, doing both. Then he had some help come in here and there before ultimately he was replaced. Oh goodness, who was that? He replaced him. I think it was the name is escaping right now. He did Deathstroke. Um, as I say that, I'm gonna totally blank out on the name, but either way, as an artist, very good artist. It's So as I say that, I hope people don't really go back to the Justice League beginning of Rebirth, and kind of hold that back against on this title. He really should, because he is a fantastic artist, and just to kind of give you a glimpse of what you're seeing right off the bat, I mean that's just fantastic. So just a small little taste of the capabilities of the art by Brian Hitch. On the right, again, this is the variant cover. This is Jae Hyung Chung, I think. To be honest, names escape me. If anything, I kind of recognize. So don't know if this is a new individual or what. So this is a kind of a meh variant. And a couple of words on variants. Typically, I don't dibble dip on variants and mains other than on Batman and Detective. Those I get the A and B covers. Unless you get like a title like Deceased, I double dip on those covers because the covers are cool. You know, the Batman Who Laughs, I double dipped on those. But other than that, typically what I do, if I'm a double dip beyond that, those kind of circumstances, it's either mainly if it's a number one, I'll get the main cover and the variant, and then once we go on, I'll kind of just stick with the main cover. So this is a case where if I ever do continuing videos on this title, you probably won't see the variant cover. Also, variant cover. This was a $4.99. Had the cardstock cover. Quick word on this. So during the New 52, titles like Batman and Superman. I don't think it was Action. Detective Comics had it for a while up until the very tail end. They all had that really good cardstock cover. Um, what they're doing now, they kind of do it every once in a while. They do the $4.99. They charge you another dollar. I don't really know what to say about that, only because that was basically the norm during the New 52. And but then again, most of those titles were $2.99, and then titles like Batman toward the middle part to the later part, those jumped up to $3.99. So I guess you're paying an extra dollar for their car stock. But then they kind of went around it toward the end of the New 52. They all went away from the card stock and still charge you $3.99. So to me, I just think this is where kind of Marvel's kind of jacking up right now. I think DC just stick with the card stock covers. It's because they got really good interior pages, the way the paper they use, but I think the covers just need to be the card stock. And I really don't think you need to charge an extra dollar for it. But neither here nor there. All right. So anyway, Batman's great. I was kind of excited for this, to be perfectly honest. Even though again, Ellis hasn't really grabbed me as a writer. I was excited for the art, and again, as I kind of go through some of this, the art's not going to disappoint. Hitch does a fantastic job, and also no one on the inks and Sinclair doing the colors. Everyone's just in really good symmetry in this at least this issue. I can't really say for sure what's going to happen in the future, but this issue in particular, they were just hitting it on the park. And again, this is just fantastic. I don't know if this really necessarily serves a purpose other than just kind of really drawing you into the story and saying, wow, this is great. And it's just, Batman overlooking Gotham. So anything else, it does kind of grasp your attention that way. But as far as impacting the story, it doesn't really do anything, to be perfectly honest. But wow, is it nice to read. So basically what goes on in this story, and I'm going to try to keep this review relatively short, is that this is a time in Gotham right now where basically the police are stretched really thin, and this is where Batman kind of fills in the holes here and there. Not, they use the term from like Batman 66, like a deputized agent of the law, but this is where he kind of comes in and out when the police are stretched thin. And it opens right up. We have these two individuals. They're carrying a little child after seeing a movie. And of course, the movie is the Joker. So I don't know if this was kind of a tie-in to the movie Joker now, and they just kind of referenced it indirectly. But I thought that was pretty cool. But just like Bruce did when he was a child with his parents, came out of the movie theater walking down the alley and they ran into Joe Chill. These two individuals with a little child run into this thug who are getting ready to stick them up, and Batman also comes in to interdict. And I thought it was a nice little parallel. It was something that's it's not original, but when we see it, it's nice to see when it kind of pops up and has some impact a little bit. Batman, most recently, it was one of the early issues in Tom King's Batman run with Gotham Girl and Gotham. Kind of was involved in that same type of thing. But this one, it was a nice little play to see and really let Brian Hitch kind of flex his action scene muscles. We've seen here again. The art's great. If anything else about this story, the art's going to be worth it just to look at. But again, this is just kind of setting the stage that the police right now, they're stretched thin. All these 911 calls are going in, and they're not able to respond to the people who are calling them because resources are stretched. So there's this one individual that keeps calling the police, and they believe it's there's a member inside their apartment complex. He used to work for the district attorney's office, kind of rebuilding his life a little bit, and they think something's wrong because they get the smell of death. And what do you know it, Batman opens up the apartment and he has a corpse surrounded by all these images of Batman. So what Batman does is he takes a picture of the crime scene using kind of like this app on I don't want to say the bat phone, but it's an app that kind of takes an image of the whole entire crime scene, and he can bring it back to Wayne Manor, look at it, much like you would have saw the orb. And in Zero Years, it was nice that kind of technology is somewhat brought back in the fray. That was even more than Zero Year. We saw that in the beginning of Snyder's run, and I think the first issue, matter of fact, when Batman's able to take a picture of a crime scene, upload it through the comm link in his cowl. But so you get the gist. This is going to be a good detective story, and Batman comes back and he begins to analyze a crime scene. He realizes something's off. He's reading this journal left off by who he led to be the decedent, and I'll kind of leave it at that because I'm not going to totally spoil what happens here at the end, but Batman ends up deducing what actually happened, and the twist in it I thought was really, really well done. It's something that I don't think when you're reading you're going to catch it, but right in the very end, right before the twist kind of happens, the light might, kind of turn on for you, just like I did. The switch happened. I was like, wait a sec, I think where they're going with this, and I don't want to sit there and, I'm not going to ruin the last page. It really does set the stage for the story, kind of going forward in terms of intrigue, because right now you're going to read this and you're going to think that the story's end. It's like, oh, Batman solved the case. Maybe not. Maybe these are just connective stories kind of going through for the next 11 issues after this, or you might have a theme that kind of runs through and weaves in, or this could just be, there could be more to it than what we're seeing. But overall, the story was actually really well done, and it has that detective kind of feel to it. And that's what I think just desperately what's lacking right now in Batman stories is a good detective story. You see it every once in a while with Detective Comics, but not as much. You definitely don't see it in Batman. I'm sorry. Tom King's Batman right now. You're just not going to see it. Anything else, it's kind of lacking. And that's one of my most favorite the traits of Batman right now is, the detective element. You actually see Batman exercising his detective muscles in this story, and it's just really well done. And I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see how this kind of goes from here, because this can go a couple different ways. So very excited to see. I'm going to go back to that initial just splash page again because that's just great. If this title kind of maintains this level of storytelling and art moving forward, this has the potential to be a really good series. But that's the key. Brian Hitch, which for the most part, when he's just doing art, and Hawkman, I think there was an issue here and there where he had to kind of take a breather and catch up. So as long as Hitch can stay on here, because I think the art in this story it was a perfect match for the story being told. It was great. So as long as Hitch can maybe go through the predominant portion of this title, it would be great to have all 12. If you have to take one break, I can see. So if the art can stay at this level and Ellis can be hitting the mark on this level of storytelling, this has the potential to be a great series. Let me back that up. Fun. I'll say it's a potential to be a fun story. I don't think you're going to really impact the mythos of Batman much in this, but you're going to have a heck of a time reading it if this kind of keeps up this level of storytelling. So I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. This was great. I'm really excited to have issue number 2 and see where this title goes from here. So anyway, that was my general thoughts on the Batman's Grave issue number 1. Hit me up on the comments below if you read this story, and we'll back chat and go from there. So I'm in the groove a little bit on these single issue reviews. I'm kind of liking it. So we'll see where I kind of go next. I almost want to sit there and talk a little bit about that Tales from the Dark Multiverse, the Batman Nightfall story. 'Cause that was good. If you haven't read that one, read it. It was good. But that Detective maybe, and then I still got Batman Black and White Volume 3. I kind of want to talk a little bit about it since I had videos on volumes 1 and 2 already. So might as well finish it out. Got 4 volumes completed out. So anyway, until next video, take care.